over the past 35 plus years, Tim Black has been an essential component of the backbone upon which the modern city of Macedonia has been built, starting his employment with the city on May 9, 1983, as the first employee of the city's Parks and Recreation Department. And whereas Chief Black first began working with the city fire department as a part-time firefighter in 1984 and quickly gained full-time employment status with the city's service department in 1985, where he remained for 2 years until moving back to the Parks and Recreation Department to a full-time position in 1987. And whereas, continuing to pursue his passion for serving the public and narrowing his focus to providing firefighting service to residents, Chief Black became the full-time service employee with the City of Macedonia Fire Department in 1989. And whereas, during his tenure in the fire department and other exhibiting exemplary work as a firefighter, Chief Black was promoted to fire captain in 1992 and promoted just 3 years later to fire chief in 1995. And whereas during that time, Chief Black has worked closely with the mayor's office, department heads, and city staff to provide the outstanding fire and EMS services the residences and the businesses of the city of Macedonia and the Nordonia Hills community as a whole have come to expect, rely upon, and appreciate. And whereas during Chief Black's tenure, he has overseen a fire department that has expanded by 12 times its original full-time employee size, responds to approximately 10 times more calls per year, and provides full-time service to not one, but 3 political subdivisions of the state of Ohio. And whereas over the period of time, Chief Black has become one of the most respected department heads in the city of Macedonia's history, and has proven himself to be an invaluable employee and asset to the community as a result of his dedication and conscientious attitude toward all employees and citizens of the community. And whereas Chief Black has dedicated the past 35 plus years of his life to serving not only the residents of the city of Macedonia and the surrounding communities, but also to serving those in need throughout the state of Ohio and the United States by serving as the president of the Northeast Ohio Fire Chiefs Association, vice president of the Summit County Fire Chiefs Association, as a trained heavy equipment rigging specialist and instructor for FEMA, and as a rescue squad officer of the Ohio Task Force 1 for FEMA's Urban Search and Rescue Team System, having responded to all major hurricane disasters throughout the country in order to provide and assist in rescue efforts. Chief Black has continued to invest his time and efforts in training the upcoming men and women who will serve in the future generations of firefighters, ensuring that residents throughout our community, the state, and the country will continue to receive outstanding service from well-trained, highly qualified, and compassionate public employees. And whereas Chief Black has announced he is retiring from service in his position as the fire chief effective February 18, 2019. And whereas the administration, council, employees, and entire Macedonia community wish to recognize Chief Black for his decades of devoted service to the city of Macedonia, which has not gone unnoticed, and is additionally recognized with this expression of appreciation. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Macedonia, County of Summit, and State of Ohio. Fire Chief Tim Black is hereby recognized for his more than 35 years of compassion, dedication, and tireless service to the City of Macedonia and its residents. The City of Macedonia, its mayor, council, residents, businesses, employees, and officials thank Chief Black for his many years of dedicated service and congratulate him on his retirement.
We're going to start with the first one from Dave Joyce's office, the 14th District House of Representatives. He sent this over. Certificate of Congressional Recognition and Achievement presented to Fire Chief Tim Black in honor of your retirement after more than 35 years of dedicated service and valor with the City of Macedonia. That's from his office. Very nice thing for you. Thank you. The second proclamation we have is from Summit County. I'm going to ask Ms. Lori Pesci to come up and present and read that for you. So I'll get out of your way.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here on behalf of Summit County Executive Eileen Shapiro to present this proclamation to Chief Black. And whereas Tim Black is a graduate of Nordonia High School, on May 9th, 1983, Tim Black began his service with the City of Macedonia as the first employee of the Parks and Recreation Department, cutting grass in the summer months while studying at the University of Akron. And whereas in 1984, Tim joined the Macedonia Fire Department as a part-time employee, and he switched his field of study from engineering to firefighting. In 1989, he became a full-time fireman. He was promoted to captain in 1992, and in 1995 became fire chief. And whereas Chief Black has seen the department grow from 2 full-time and 20 part-time employees handling 388 calls a year to a robust 24 full-time and 35 part-time department that handles over 3,700 calls a year from 3 fire stations that serve the City of Macedonia, Northfield Center, and Sagamore Hills Townships. And whereas Chief Black is passionate about serving the public, he is a former president of the Northeast Ohio Fire Chiefs Association, vice president of the Summit County Fire Chiefs Association, member of the FEMA Urban Search and Rescue Team, lead fire instructor at the University of Akron, heavy equipment rigging specialist for FEMA, and a national registered paramedic since 1990. And whereas Chief Black plans on spending some of his time during retirement vacationing, riding his motorcycle across country, camping with his family, and working on antique cars. And whereas Chief Black's life has been enriched by his wife Mary, their children Danielle, Michael, and Jesse, grandchildren Stone and Nash, and countless friends, now therefore I, Eileen Shapiro, Summit County Executive, do hereby proclaim Thursday, February 14th, 2019 to be Chief Tim Black Day.
This is from my office, so I'm going to read one more to you. Whereas we honor Fire Chief Tim Black for 36 years of service with the City of Macedonia, where he began his employment as the first Parks and Recs employee in 1983. In 1984, joined the Macedonia Fire Department, promoted to fire captain in 1992, and in 1995 promoted to fire chief, during which he showed strength, endurance, courage, selfless concerns for the City of Macedonia. And whereas Fire Chief Black has served the president of the Northeast Ohio Fire Chiefs Association, vice president of Summit County Fire Chiefs Association, is a rescue squad officer for Ohio Task Force 1, a lead fire instructor at the University of Akron, a PERS instructor, heavy equipment rigging specialist for FEMA, and an instructor for FEMA's teams, a national registered paramedic for 28 years, and a state of Ohio fire safety instructor, a FEMA urban search and rescue team member, and Chief Black has responded to all major hurricane disasters throughout the states to assist in rescue operations. And whereas this occasion provides our elected leaders an opportunity to celebrate Fire Chief Black's heroism and express our sincere appreciation for Tim's exemplary performance of duty during his 36 years for the City of Macedonia, and applaud his leadership in fire consolidation efforts with Sagamore Hills, Northfield Center. And whereas we extend to Fire Chief Black and his entire family our best wishes for continued success in all future endeavors, and may Chief Black enjoy a long and healthy retirement. Now therefore, I, Nick Molnar, Mayor of the City of Macedonia, Ohio, have hereunto set my hand this 14th day of February in the year of our Lord 2019, and do hereby proclaim this day as Fire Chief Tim Black Day. So I have a little speech to give here, but before I get started, I want to recognize some of the elected officials in the room. First and foremost, our council, Councilor Shane Barker, Councilor Jessica Brandt, Mr. Bilkey, Kevin Bilkey, President Tully, and Vice President Ventura. They've all had a hand in what we've been doing here over the years, and a great group of people, as well as our department heads, Chief John Golden, Director Manley, Mr. Galati, and Director Notavange, and also Director Cadet. So, great group of people here. Also in the room tonight that we need to recognize is the Aurora Fire Chief, David Barnes. Thank you for coming tonight. We appreciate having you. Northfield Village Mayor Jesse Meehes. Sagamore Hills Trustee Dave DePasquale. And former council person in the city of Macedonia and Warrensville Heights Chief Paul Susak. So we appreciate having you all tonight. It's a very nice night and glad to have you here. So, talking about the fire department and Chief Black and what we do in this community, we talk about family. Your department's one that, you know, you look around the room and you see this is a family. It's more than just the work that you do every day. It's kind of mentioned already tonight, but your children, Danielle, Jesse, and Michael, I know Chief Black he loves his kids more than life itself. It's a very strong passion for his family, and I respect that. I look at my kids that are here tonight, and you know it's special. So I love that part of you. But what I'm going to ask tonight is his wife, Mary, to come up here with us if you're comfortable, because I think it's important. So I can tell you that, you know, your wife stands behind you. I know your wife is a wonderful, beautiful woman that I admire, and getting to know the both of you has been. I swore I was going to do it. Okay, I'm good. Not doing it. But family, this is what it's all about, guys. No matter what we do here, this is what matters, and this is special. But I want to talk about you being a leader. It comes down to one thing when I think about you, it's character. And I think you embody that with everything you've done here. How you define character is what you do when no one's looking. And I know that I've always had that confidence with Chief Black that I always knew that you would do the right thing, and there was no question ever. And it made me feel really good, even in the short time in my role I'm in now. But even as a council person for over a decade, it was something that was you know, we had that trust in you, and I appreciate that. The biggest piece of you and your department and what you do is you bring up the people around you. It's never about Chief Black. He's a very humble man. If you guys, anyone who knows him personally knows that he hates this right now. This is not Chief Black. He doesn't want this, but he's getting it tonight because he deserves it after 36 years of service to this community. So he brings everyone up around him, and that's what embodies a strong, good leader that I admire. It's a testament when you look around the room to the people that work for you that, you know, are here to support you tonight. So if that doesn't give you warm and fuzzies, I have no idea what would. Your work in the city, there's a lot of things, and I didn't want to hit everything, but there's so many things that you've done to bring us to where we are. The ISO ranking of 2 is so huge, and it's such a big deal. I don't think we give enough credit to what you've done with that. So that is something that we all need to be very, very proud of. That's very, very hard to attain, and the fact that you got us there says a lot about you and what you've done with your department. A lot of that had to do with your work, so we appreciate that. But the little things, the Santa program, it's a lot of work. That's something that, you know, people don't realize what really goes into that. A lot of the fire people that are here tonight know that that's a daunting task. That's not easy. It takes a lot of work, and the community absolutely loves it. I love it, my kids love it, and I love being a part of it. So thank you for keeping that energized and moving forward. Touch a truck. We have all these events where you can come out and touch a truck and get to know our firefighters and our chief and everyone else that works in your department. There's nothing better than having face-to-face interactions with the people that work in your community and represent you. So when you have that, that's what brought him to be such a stellar employee and an awesome chief, because people know who this guy is. They knew who he was because he's always there, and another piece that makes you a great guy. The Explorer program, such a great thing. I've watched over my tenure here so many kids go through that program and end up being with us, and I think that is amazing. I mean, when you bring someone up through that program and actually hire them one day, that's got to make you feel good, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And involvement in everything Macedonia. You know, we have the festival in the summer, the Spirit of Macedonia Festival, that he's always there. We always have the trailer there. Our firefighters are there, and that's something that I also admire because it's just a good, healthy thing to be out there. And your tenure in the city and going to Nordonia Hill schools, you know, there's something more to this thing. It's not just a job, like I said earlier, so it should make you feel pretty awesome. And finally, the commitment has always been there. I'm gonna miss you. It's gonna be tough. I'm not gonna do it.
I'll send it your way.
So, I'm gonna leave you with one awesome thing, and I put a lot of thought into this and what I was gonna say to you, but we both love rock and roll, right? Something that is really near and dear to my heart in music, and I'm gonna send you off with this. Get your motor running and get out on the highway. Thankfully, I don't have to be choked up anymore. Now it's someone else's turn, but this is obviously an honorary thing with the fire department that you get outgoing. And here's your outgoing comment.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to turn it over to council because they'd like to say a few words as well here. Okay.
I'm going to invite all of council down. Come on. I've been telling them no, you can't go. But I look out at the people who are here with the fire department who have been part of the growth. I'm a Nordonia Hill grad, eons ago. It was a volunteer fire department. When the sirens went off, you had to pull off to the side of the road because here they came in whatever truck, car they were in. There were no vehicles. They just showed up. I've watched the growth. And this man has taken us from an idea that he gave, when was the first time? For the group of the cities. And he proposed it. And it didn't go anywhere. But he's tenacious. He's a hard worker. He's loving. He cares about every person in this room and in the city. And if you look, there's a picture that pops up. He asked me to go to the school, the fire in Columbus. I am deathly afraid of fire, but I was so honored to go. And all it does is reaffirm, I could never, ever do what you do, day in and day out. Not even for 5 minutes. Not gonna happen. Council wanted to take a moment and say thank you. And we have a little gift as a thank you present.
So Tim, we got together and decided to get you a 1927 Seagrave Suburbanite.
Very close to ours.
Very close. I tried to get the 31. I couldn't find the 31, so, and my wife and I, well, my wife did put the stickers on for the city, the years of service, and then the years that you were fire chief, and believe me, my heart sank when they said 92, that you became police captain, and then you played chief in that. Yeah, so.
92.
I hope this either starts your collection or ends it, but this is something that we wanted to make sure that we presented to you for show our appreciation, and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Your turn.
My turn.
Two tickets.
Yeah.
That was close. It was a close second.
Thank you very much.
Not yet, sir. I would like all the current or former Macedonia firefighters to stand up. Where you go? He's right here. All right, now sit down. If this man didn't either hire you or promote you, that's either from full-time to part-time or to a different rank, sit down. If he did, if he promoted you, I'm sorry I said that wrong. If he promoted you or hired you, go ahead and sit down. That's how much of an impact it's had on our department, okay? And it's been that way from day one. He's a special individual. He's been a special boss to work for. We're all sad to see him leave, but we're also very happy for him. So in recognition of that, here's your 35-year service pin. And Mayor, what would you leave him with? He's right there. What was the comment you said? The road? The road?
Get your motor running and get out on the highway.
So when you're running a law enforcement,
Right, how come you didn't pin it? How come you didn't right here?
That's his work life.
My wife says the same thing. Call your husband. We spend a lot of time, so I think I'm ready. What a ride, 35 years, you know. I started out just cutting grass, you know. We had a little house that was our city hall, and I actually drove a residential lawnmower over to 82 Park, and then we had something called Green Acres, which very few, maybe Ed back there will remember, and I drove this Farmall tractor to Sugar Bush Park, because that's all we had at the time. You know, we didn't have Longwood, and then we took on Longwood, and we started going. I was not the first Parks. We had a Parks and Rec director. He immediately, when he read the article, he immediately called me, Brian Katz, and said, I was the first guy. So I said, well, I'll give you recognition when I talk. So I was not. So I was the first grass cutter. So, and you know, I really appreciate it. I'm blown away at you know, at all of this. I'm truly blown away. But, you know, I think that council and the mayor hit on it. It truly is. It is about the people. You know, training is important. You know, the tools of the trade are important for our service department and our police, but it really comes down to the people. And I've met the best people with our department heads. You know, they live in the city. They truly want to serve their residents. And that's what made it easy for me here to be surrounded by people that truly care about the city and the work that we do here. You know, Brian came up and gave me the badge representing the guys, and you know, Brian's 40 years on the fire department. I know I got 36 and I'm leaving, but 40 years in the fire department. Half his life's been on the fire department. So needless to say, born and raised in Macedonia, okay? His grandfather was a Cleveland firefighter. So you know, these guys, they live here, they serve here, they really care. You know, my officers, Paul Solinsky's entire family lives here in Macedonia. His kids, his girls, his boy, they all live here. He's on the fire department. His son's on the fire department. They pay taxes here. They partake in everything that happens here. So they're really grounded. Rob Lewis, did you ever move out of Macedonia? You've lived here your entire life.
Since I was 2.
Since 2 years old when he moved in. His parents live here, okay? And Rob's grandfather delivered me. Okay? Delivered me. My mom was there, ask her. Not only delivered me, but drove my mom in a snowstorm because my dad was working second shift, I believe. So my father wasn't there, so Rob's grandfather. So at that time is when I said, I got to hire I gotta pay him back. And I don't know how many of you remember Doc Martin, but he was the town doc, you know, I mean, that. So these guys come from good stock. Their families have been here, their families, their grandparents, they're here, they're grounded here. Of course, I say I hired everybody in the fire department, either full or part-time. These guys were hand-selected. They truly were hand-selected. What the job that we do and going out 300 times a month, we go out to our residents' houses. We go into their houses. We see where they sleep, basically. So these guys have to be completely trusted. So it was so important for me to get the right people in here. And that's, you know, that's what I want to expand out. You know, I really think that we have the right people here. They're handpicked, the voters pick these people to do their business, and then the department heads pick their people, and a lot of thought and a lot of testing and a lot of things go into picking those people out. Everybody on the fire department, you know, I hired full-time or part-time, as they said, except for Chip Davis. He's not here tonight, but I certainly wanted to mention him. So as I look around, I see a whole bunch of, I see his son here, I see a whole bunch of people, and all I can say is it's Valentine's Day. I think I'm okay, but you guys are probably in trouble. I think I'm gonna skate with my wife since the mayor brought her up. I think I'm gonna be okay, but you guys are probably in a little bit of trouble. I did not plan on it being Valentine's Day, that for sure. So obviously, you know, all of our wives, they really put up with us. All these guys' wives, they really put up with us leaving on calls, because that is the utmost. You know, they know what it is. They know Tuesday nights is training nights. They know when the tones go out, we go. I mean, it's just simple as that. And we miss a lot of, these guys miss a lot of family functions, but they don't really miss it because they're going to serve. So they leave their families and they go on the calls. And I'd like to thank my wife for 36 years of doing exactly that, okay? I would like to thank my parents in the back room. The 19th, which is I think next Tuesday, is their 60th wedding anniversary. So my dad gave me good advice. We were walking in hunting one time, and he said, you know, I think I want to buy a farm. And he was 75 years old. And I said, you want to buy a farm? Don't you think it's a little bit late to be buying a farm? Start to be a farmer at 75. You retired after 40-some years with Alcoa Aluminum. And I said, you know, you're 75 and you want to buy a farm. And he looked at me and he says, Liz, I'm going to tell you something. Never plan on dying. Never plan on living. And I was like, I stopped, and it blew me away. And he said, never plan on dying. Plan on living every day. Always have a plan for the next week. I intend to do that in retirement. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be here in the community. I'm going to be helping in any way, shape, or form. And, you know, utmost, I want to thank the residents. You know, I was able to raise a family and serve the residents. And every day I came in, I felt privileged to do that. I felt it was an honor, and I felt it was a privilege to be able to go out and serve the residents and make sure that they got their money's worth. You know, one of my favorite sayings to people is, people don't mind paying taxes. They just want their money's worth. They just want their money's worth, and that's what I tried to give, and the guys every day tried to give. I'm proud of my guys. Listen, I'm not perfect. Ask my wife. I'm not perfect. These guys made me look perfect. Okay, they truly did. They made me look perfect by by their actions and how they handle themselves, and they make me proud every day. So, and I again like to thank the residents for allowing me the privilege and the honor to be chief for so many years. So, that's it. Thank you.